So just a second. Recording is starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone. This is Atin Handuja, founder and CEO of Legal Foxes. Today we have a session on the topic virtual courts in special reference to criminal trial. Today we have Advocate Gautam Das here, Advocate on record at Supreme Court of India, and we have Advocate Nishant Srivastav here, Legal Aid Counsel at Delhi Legal Services Authority South. I welcome you all to the session. Mr. Srivastav will be hosting the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Atin, and most welcome everyone, especially Mr. Das, who had spared time for all of us. And a very warm good afternoon to you all. I, Nishant Kumar Srivastava, an impaneled advocate with Delhi Legal Services Authority South District. Welcome you all in this very stimulating session. And my special greetings to all of you on the World Environment Day, which we are celebrating today. And also special thanks to Legal Foxes and the team of Legal Foxes, especially Mr. Atin Handuja.
Thank you so much, sir. So you are not audible.
Handuja, I should start?
Just a second. Mr. Srivastav.
Nishant, you have muted yourself.
Mr. Srivastav, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. It happened automatically. Yeah. You must be aware that the Delhi Legal Services Authority, South District, under the overall leadership of our learned district and session judge, Ms. Poonam Bamba, and our learned secretary, Ms. Shreya Arora Math, have been doing many activities over these successive lockdowns, which not only includes conducting webinars and sessions and learning sessions, but also reaching out to the needy people, both in terms of legal assistance as well as food and other essentials. And you must be aware that there have been recent spike in the cases, particularly domestic violence. The impaneled advocates of Delhi Legal Services Authority South Districts have been doing a great job there. They are approaching people and helping them out. Now, coming to today's discussion today. So, as Atin has pointed it out, our topic for today is virtual courts, possibilities, challenges, and opportunities with special reference to criminal trial. And our resource person today is Mr. Gautam Das, who is an advocate and record. Mr. Das has a law degree from Utkal University, Odisha, and he did his PG in International Law and Diplomacy from Indian Society of International Law, ISIL, Delhi. He started his career as a practicing lawyer in Delhi district courts, high courts, as well as the Supreme Court. Since early days, he did not confine his only to the criminal side of the practice, but he went on to successfully expand his practice from to forums like NCDRC, TDSAT, CAT, NGT, Competition Commission, various high courts, and district courts across the country. He cleared his distinguished AAOR examination in 2015, and he is a person who believes in ethical practice. Today, he is going to conduct the session on the basis of his vast experience, knowledge, particularly of conducting trial, and his first-hand knowledge of the challenges and advantages of virtual courts system. Today's session is going to be for an hour, and towards the end of the session, we will be taking up queries and questions of the participants, if time permits. We definitely would like to take 4 to 5 questions. And you are requested, all the participants are requested to put your question in the comment box, which Mr. Handuja or I will shall be putting to Mr. Das. Now, I'll request Mr. Das to take on and enlighten us on the today's topic. Welcome, sir.
So everyone can pin Mr. Das so that you can see him on screen. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Mr. Das.
Thank you, Atin and Nishanji. Thank you, Legal Foxes, for conducting such a enlightened sessions. Also, the Legal Services Authority, where I am many a time I have associated with in Supreme Court also, and High Court and Low Courts. Recently, I was from 2014 to 2016. I was also appointed amicus curiae by the Supreme Court Legal Services Authority. One thing I should first congratulate all those viewers and also the hosts for today's World Environment Day. And it has actually a very strong connection with the topic that we discuss. Because in the day of Environment Day, we do celebrate, apart from others, to cut less number of trees. And virtual courts, in a sense, address those concerns by having quite number of issues to the hard copies, the papers being used in the courts and books and others. Now, I would just say in the context that a need or problem encourages creative efforts to meet the need or solve the problem. The situation that has arisen for all of us to come together and to meet in a virtual online sessions is the situations for which we discuss about virtual courts. There is no greater situations than people's to face the trials of life. But everyone can always find something positive in everything, even in the worst of times. See, in 15th of March 2020, the Honorable Chief Justice of India declared that all the courts, due to the pandemic, all the courts to work as far as possible in virtual modes to take care of, first of all, in a situation like this, to have access to justice by the common people and those litigating parties, and simultaneously to maintain social distancing. And without this, it was not possible for people to still seek justice. But why the stakeholders like judiciary, like litigants and lawyers, why they are both excited and concerned about immediate implementation of this mode of trials and other systems of dispensation of justice? And that led us to, come to have a one-to-one interface with the situations, the possibilities, the challenges, and also the opportunities which is there for us. See, virtual courts and video conferencing, as we say, starting the inroads with the virtual courts, it has not arrived as early as we see it. Yes, India has brought in with this form of technology being used in legal system is post 2000, when Information Technology Act comes in. As we know, coming to a court periphery, when we talk of criminal trial, we do have the presence of parties before the court. And with presence of parties, you also requires the representative who represents both the litigating parties, the court's officials, the judges, and the crowds, the other peoples who watches. Long back in 1984, in the United States, Waller versus Georgia, the US Supreme Court has declared public trial to be essential for the people accused as well as the people, because the interested spectators, if they get crowded in the courts, the judges who has to deliver will have a greater responsibility to dispense with justice. And that is the maxim comes into play, that justice should not only be done, it should seem to be delivered. And in the process, the participation of more people, the journalists, those interns, those law graduates, they are to visits to the court to learn. Now, in commercial courts, in civil litigation, arbitration, as we all must have seen that post 2008, after judgments, Supreme Court since 2003, much of the judgment comes from the state of Maharashtra. And the end, I will just refer to those judgments. There, Supreme Court has also allowed the electronic forms of evidence to be presented before the court by the parties. Now, in a criminal trial situations, we, as all of us, the law court lawyers, when we try to address the issue, it starts with the registration of FIR under 154. So, post registrations, if the accused is arrested or not arrested, the police's discretions under various provisions. Then once the accused post arrest is presented and then the commencement of trial starts, there is a situation where we have a challenge with a open court and in comparisons to a virtual court. In open courts, you find either those accused who are on bail, they comes and present themselves before the court, or those who are in jail, they are either being presented or post 2018 that they are now being shown in the video conferencing mode from the jail itself. Now, post that, when the trial commences under 207 of CRPC, you have to provide them all those documents. Even if it is in the form of electronics, digitized form, still there are issues which the accused or their representative, the lawyers, they finds while receiving all those in the form of digital mode. Post that, if you see, the policies and lawyers and the litigants are not aware of or trained in the projections or being communications and digital knowledge, then post investigations, the police will not be able to produce those investigation reports and all in a way that the lawyers can question those, that is post supply of documents. And the major part which we find as a lawyer would be once there will be commencement of trial and presence of accused. In a warrant trial cases, as you all would have known, that the presence of accused is a must. Even if there are sections to seek exemptions under 207 and 317, still the courts insist, unless there is some important or exigencies, the court insists for presence of the accused. It has its own benefits for the accused itself. Under Constitution, they have a right to participate in the trial. And even in case of the witnesses, if they are called to give evidences in a virtual court situations, if you find them to be at home or in some offices, now the question of 159 Evidence Act will go, because there the recommendation is that the witness can refresh his memory. Now, if he finds everything at his disposal, and then the lawyer would be on the other end, the judge sitting in his offices, there will be challenges technically for the lawyers to have some sort of authenticity, to find authenticity and true responses to those questions, to verify the evidence, the oral evidence of the witnesses. There will be a challenge. Now, in case of expert witness, see, if expert witness like fingerprint experts and the CFSL officials, it is good that there will be number of things which we will take care of, like transportations. they seek exemptions because of some official engagements. Now, in case of virtual courts, perhaps that will be over. They can, from their offices, they can do that. But through dispensation of justice, the trust that a litigant, an accused, or a complainant have is that the reasoning and discretion of the judge while having an interface with the accused or the complainant in the court itself. But in a virtual situation, even if the expert witness sits in his office and give his evidence and being cross-examined by the lawyers, there will be difficulty in judging his demeanor, the way that his response to questions, and then showing documents and evidences, whether it is in the paper form or in the electronic form, it would be too difficult. Now, the second part is if there will be number of accused. See, in DLSA conducts a lot of they helps the under trials. They also helps by encouraging young lawyers to go to jails and present the cases of downtrodden and poor. So, in case of that, if some of the accused are in jail and some of the accused are in bail, you would find those to remain at home and show their presence. And in jails also, and in jails there will be difficulty in the same day. There will be number of under trial attending their respective courts hearing, and the presence of jail officials also create problems. Though there is a judgment by Bombay High Court where it has directed that the Legal Services Authority to appoint 2 lawyers or maybe some more lawyers to be present while there will be a video conferencing with the under trial. But even then, there will be challenge for the lawyers to cross-examine and for the complainant to participate in the proceeding. And then comes the difficulty of the process of this digital platform. See, we started, today we are in a video calling. We are so faster in dissemination of informations that we are today addressing these virtual gatherings. But see, when this first generation's network comes, it used to be only calling, no data, no video. And it has its inroads till 1998, where third generation comes, and post that fourth generation comes, where 500 times faster network we got. We expect that the concerns that we have regarding crashing of the systems midway, like you are addressing a court, and in the midway, if the system crashes because of low internet network, then the recommendation of faster generation technology should arrive if we are talking of virtual courts. Then comes the productions of seized materials. If we are talking of the criminal trial, the police has seized it. There are newly amended sections where the seized item is to be videographed, and the statement under 161 and 164 is to be recorded as video as well as audio and to be produced. But then authenticity of that and credibility of those video and audio, by challenging it, there will be, because as far as the state is concerned, yes, with different challenges, situation, state comes up with new amendments and all. But those other stakeholders, like the participating litigants and the lawyers, those who are to stand to defend in a case of criminal trial, there the situations will be that they will be in a challenged position to question all those data protections and those questioning virtually those evidences which they cannot in a physical open courtroom. They have that access of immediately showing it to the judge. Recently, I was hearing some webinar, and in that matter, the online appearances crashes, and they started exchanging the addressing the courts by way of WhatsApp. So the challenges, see, when it comes to new age lawyers, those who comes with complete digitized kind of trainings and educations, perhaps for them the platform will be a little easier than those who have had a practice in the traditional open courts. In that situations, perhaps the challenges would be, no doubt it is a very timely challenges. With the passage of time, people will adapt to the new situations, but the older generations, whether it is judges or the lawyers, they will always remain dependent upon those new age lawyers who are more equipped with digital forms. Recently, I was asked about the data protections, the hacking, the digital signatures, and the manipulations of electronics records. If the proceedings are not shown or are not live streamed, then the people around will not have the access to know, to understand what the trial, how the trial is proceeding, except the two parties and the state council. So in that case, there was a petition filed by an intern in Supreme Court, Swapnil Tripathi. In that case, Supreme Court said, yes, there will be live streaming of proceedings, but except in case of rape and matrimonial matters. So even if there will be live streaming, then also there will be challenges, because this has it has forced upon us the situations of virtual courts. It has not turned up like the way the internet comes. The internet comes in 1980s. It has its inroads first with voice calling, then video calling, then now today we are in this age. So in a sense of having hyped situations of over ambitiously implementing these virtual court systems and must completely pan India, perhaps there will be difficulty. I was just discussing with my friend. He was saying that in district courts in various states, they have yet to have an infrastructure to run. Forget about having even paper files. They are to take care of that every now and then. In monsoons and in other situations, floods and cyclones, they have to shift all those boxes of files to some other places. Yes, with the advent of technological know-how, definitely there will be an advantage of protecting data, keeping, saving data, but also the infrastructure when it comes to internal part of it, then it is definitely going to have a transformations when it comes to data protections, data retentions, preservations, then filing through online. But recently, I was just visiting all those law courts and also virtually appearing. I found maximum number of cases, if during this COVID we see, it is maximum numbers of cases are on bail. Because in bail, we have no issues with the parties being present, and many a times, except some few rape cases or some other cases, you won't find even the complainants' counsels to be there opposing. It is state's counsel and the judge, the courts, and you. So such situations, perhaps we, in a city conditions, we have no doubt the inroads to accept the virtual court systems. But when it comes to the suburban areas, the states where the general infrastructure of judicial systems are yet to come up, they are immediately thinking of these situations of a virtual court where people have to operate from their place, where there are electricity issues, mobile network issues. Then it is very difficult for them to address through virtual court systems. Now, post evidence stage, when there will be argument stage in trial, you, in a case of virtual systems, you have to, like Delhi High Court directed, that you record 15 minutes of your argument submissions to the court, you send it, and then it will be shared by the other counsel. Then the other counsel will send it back another 10 minutes of his rebuttal arguments. So in a situations, In one place, we will save time of lawyers visiting courts, time of photocopies and hard forms, saving some monies. But in case of implementation or running the virtual courts, there will be several time being spent because you have to allot slots. You have to allot slots for lawyers, for judges, and training of judges, police officers, court staffs, lawyers, and the litigants also kind of exposure to some sort of regulatories and trainings of how to participate in a judicial proceeding is must. And time consuming in a case of virtual court would be there since it is not implemented in a pan India level. That is why perhaps we are seeing very minimal amount of use. So we are so excited of this. But when it would be regularly being implemented, when there will be 100 matters or 50 matters listed in a court Delhi, then there will be challenges. You have to dedicate the judges for particular type of cases. Like one judge has to have 138 a negotiable instrument acts case, one judge is to only specifically motor accident case, and the lawyers as well as the parties has also to be given some slot like Mondays, Tuesdays. Now in Monday there will be criminal matters, and criminals matters sub categories like matrimonial matters, and then jail trials. Those who are in jails, they will be categorized. Then also different matters, different peoples. So the litigant based, the time based, the infrastructure based approach has to be there if we at all go for virtual courts. Recently, after much by the Bar Council, Bar Association, because they are also an important stakeholders, anticipating this immediate and urgent implementations of virtual courts system commencement being commenced, they started giving representations, including Bar Council of India, where the Supreme Court digital committee chairman, Justice Chandrachud, he come up and said that no, it is just for time being. We cannot replace. No doubt, we cannot also say no to this new change. We cannot go back to 100 years and have this old traditional court practice. But the open court practice is the spine of the judicial system. So that cannot also be replaced, at least not in near future. Because technology is a good servant when it comes to implementing all those systems. But you cannot put the technology in a situations of ownership, of dictating things. So in case of, if we consider these two in the field of medical science or engineering, you would find there are tremendous substantial change in by way of science. You would find the systems being implemented for operations, for various other things, but you cannot replace a doctor. Similarly, in engineering field also, you have enough of technological advancement, but can you change the engineers, replace the engineers? Because any system where you have to deal with humans, like in case of trials, judiciary, so you have to have two very important things from the judiciary. One is the discretion, the other is the reasoning. And both these is required a open congregation and open courts where you have to have an interface with those who represent the parties and the parties. And similarly, for all those litigants for whom, for the access to justice, the system of justice runs, they have to have the trust and confidence whether the whole mass of public who are yet to come to terms with digital world, accept a mobile phone or some of the Facebook and WhatsApp social media, they are yet to be trained, yet to be educated in digital way. So their trust and confidence needs to be taken care of. As long as that is not addressed, perhaps in a sense of regularity, we have to have in parallelly the government or the judiciary is to see how to protect this newest technology while being implemented. It should not be. There is in case of digital things, you have every protections But similarly, as you have protections, there is a data theft, there is manipulations, there is misrepresentations, uh, impersonation, digital signature frauds, hacking. So all these to be one by one addressed. And I hope that as we go on with the virtual systems, the system will throw at us different challenges. So far, we have perhaps, when we are challenged with COVID, and human generations always rebounded back, resounded back, responded back with greater vigor and vitality. So we will definitely take it up as a challenge. We, from the legal fraternity, I hope that people have started making them believe that there is no other way, that we have to accept this new normal, which is the virtual courts. Yes, there will be specific area where physical presence and open courts will be, which is not going to be over for some time now. Now I'll offer Atin and Nishanji to seek some questions or anything if they would like to ask.
Sir, thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir, for your very enlightening session and your discussion. We had certain questions which have been put by two of our participants. One, Mausam Sharma, she has put up question: how
Yes.
the lack of infrastructure, particularly in parts of in part of internet, she meant to say on the part of internet, can be overcome in virtual courts, because the general feeling, the general thing is that except the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Kolkata and all these, if you go back to the trial courts in say a state like Odisha or some very far-flung districts, we find that the infrastructure, both physical as well as in terms of internet and all, is in a very, very poor state. So how it can be possible to implement this virtual court system in this limited capacity we have today?
Right. See, now what I understand is now our judicial system is not the only system which has been thrown up, not only with the digital issues, but also with the COVID issues. The whole world is under grab of COVID. The governments are not only looking at only the access to justice part. I think the kind of churning that is going on, there are several amendments that is online. I was just going through. There are data protection acts also for the citizens that is there to protect the citizens' privacy and all. So it is now the government has to look into it, since it is a pan-India issue, the world issue, pan-world issue of COVID. As perhaps the things are over, the COVID issues are over, then one by one, see, any new changes, if you find everything, as styles, as fashion, any new things that arrives at a place, the place which is actually open for immediately receiving it, it then goes into the suburbans, the states. So similarly, I hope, as we today discuss it, because we are in a metropolitan city, so these discussions, perhaps those visionary, those are active in this field of technology and those technological advancements fields and all, with their suggestions, the government will definitely starts looking into those areas where states are not only offered with this virtual court systems, the online platform, perhaps their infrastructural developments of infrastructure of even open courts, the physical structure of the courts will also be taken care of with the new changes. Yes, I hope it would be done. But now immediately looking at it perhaps will be difficult, because it is not relating to this field, legal field, it's medical field, it is other, even if it is existence, the question of existence is now there in front of the government. Perhaps these things are over, they will definitely look at it. We are the one who are to bring it before them. Sanjay.
So there
Sir.
was some disruption in the voice. Yes. Thank you, sir. There was another question from Muskan Bansal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something a very interesting question, and everyone is thinking on the same lines. It's a small question but very
Yes.
meaningful. So, which is better, virtual or open code?
It is like, it's a very, very interesting
Yeah,
question. You said so, and I admit that it is. Let me tell you, there's a very interesting answer to it also.
sir.
In the COVID era, even in the lockdown, if I say what is good, whether it is inside house or outside house,
Yeah,
what is good?
yeah.
Because
Both
you
have
have
their
no
own.
choice. So now discussing whether open court is good or virtual court, Paref, yes, perhaps the discussion we will keep this discussion post COVID, because
Yeah.
COVID has brought us virtual courts as normal. Before we question, before we discuss, before we examine whether this version of the justice dispensation is good or bad, yeah, COVID has brought us this, that we are bound to go by virtual court, because the judiciary finds that in a state of emergency, in a disaster situation, access to justice is the only hope of the common man, because they always have a problem, they always have an issue with the government when there is a disaster. So it is only the judiciary who has to give them the space to voice it out. So perhaps at this stage, I would say virtual courts is good, because at least we can bring the voices of the people, the cry of the people to the courts to find some, even if it is in a very minimal way, but still we get some justice, some relief.
So at least something is always better than nothing. A situation where there is completely
Yes.
no access to justice is, it's some access to justice is always better than no access to justice. And these are unprecedented circumstances, and definitely everyone is struggling. We are evolving day by day, and over a period of time, definitely this virtual court system has a long-term life, but as of now, it is facing the teething problems. We can say whatever the initial hiccups are there, but you mean to say in the long term,
Yes.
it's going to stay, and it's going to strengthen the reach of the people from far-flung places. For example, if I was just wondering if there is some person who is in a very distant place, say in Chhattisgarh, in some very backward area, and he has got a very good case which he cannot approach to a say council here in Delhi, a big council, a very good council here. But if he gets in touch virtually with such a council, and he can put across his problems there, so his problems could be raised at a higher level also. That is going to somewhere bridge the gap between the physical distance. It's going to bring down somewhat the barriers of physical distance and all. Do you think so?
I think, Nisanji, this telecast, I think this is pan India. All
Yes, sir.
those people from your institutions,
Yes.
Legal Services Authority, I think your
Yes, sir.
questions relates to your own institutions.
It's
Anybody
for everyone.
who's
Yes.
residing, anybody who's residing in any place
Yes,
which
sir.
is not access to internet and all, at least they can call those. Government has actually, judiciary as well as government has come up with some systems where they can approach an authority through which their concern, their grievances can be raised through virtual courts. And in many high courts also, they are also opening up with a particular system where common people, even if they are not very advanced with, or rather challenged with technology, they can
Yes.
come and voice their concerns. Their concerns will be placed before the court.
Great, sir. Parimal has put a question. What about presenting a physical evidence in virtual court? Is it possible? If so, how much reliable it will be? Because in the trial courts we have to do many things apart from, observing the posture and observing the demeanor of the witness. We also have to confront the things, documents, confront the statements and all these things. So the very challenge in a criminal trial, which is there, is physical evidence, the evidence part of it. Final arguments, they are even okay. That can be done on a virtual platform.
In physical also, Nissanji, in physical also, at this point in time, yes, because we were accustomed to the traditional physical, presentation of evidences, the witnesses as well as the documents.
Yes, sir.
So that is why the difficulty arises, and yes, this challenge will remain for some time till we come up with. See, that is the reason the police officials were to investigate the people. Even in a civil case, there will be no police officials. The state officials will not be there to put efforts to collect evidence, to keep evidence, to store evidence. So the common people or the general citizens in civil cases and other cases, and in criminal cases, the police officials and those officials involved in collections, seizure and restoration, preservation of evidences, whether it is in document or in electronic form, they are to be trained in a new age situations. See, even if despite lockdown, we were given instructions to go with sanitizer, with mask. So similarly, in a situations of this, when we still have to present with a virtual courts by way of evidences, whether it is digital and all. Recently, I was hearing Mr. Luthra, senior advocate, he was saying that when he presented the documents to the court in a virtual court, the court said, Mr. Luthra, we cannot see it. You have to send it by WhatsApp. Then he sent it through WhatsApp and the court saw it and passed an order. So in a sense, yes, that is why I said that we are dealing with humans. When you deals with humans, then naturally the technology, the communication, the systems will come up as a problem. Implementations will always have an edge when we implement digital in implementations of investigations and records and all. But when you have an interface with a physical, a person, then it would always remain a challenge in a virtual courts. And I think for that, the open courts will remain for some time till something the people accept, some kind of a new as technology whereby you stand somewhere and whatever you say, I think that reading of the demeanor that I said, that the various like his nervousness, his expressions and everything to be read, a system will come, like a person speaks here, his complete image comes up somewhere else. So similarly, his image perhaps will be there. There will be definitely privacy issue, but we will have that challenge. But we will kind of, as time passes, various things in 1980s we could not have thought of what we are doing it today, like the one that we are doing. Perhaps it was unthinkable.
True.
So I would like to add, don't you think in a criminal trial it is easier for virtual courts to function? Like कोई जेल में है और कोई जेल से ही उनकी हाजिरी लग रही है. So don't you think it's easier for virtual courts
It
to
is
function
easier.
in comparison to open court?
It's Atin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's easier. That's what I said, that video conferencing has come up as a God bless. It's a blessings in disguise, because there was number of police officials involved in taking the under trials. The vehicles was involved. There was transportation times.
Definitely.
Yes, that part I said that it is an enabler. The digital system is an enabler, but you cannot have the system as digital. A digital system doing everything, even the work of the judges, the work of the lawyer. Perhaps there we will have some more time to address that part of the issue. These are things like filing in e-portal, filing it, then keeping the records without getting it voluminous documents and photocopies, and then traveling to the court, traveling to not only a district courts in and around Delhi, but somebody said that somebody appeared from London. So in that part, it is all right to protect some of the rights of the citizens, to protect securities issues. It is an enabler. It helps a lot. It has helped till now. But when it comes to hearing, and there are presence of individuals, which section, any sections provisions which speaks of presence of complainant, accused parties, there the challenge cropped up, because you cannot replace immediately by way of a virtual presence rather than a physical presence.
Sure. Thank you, sir. There is connected, very interesting question asked by Vartika Srivastava. And Vartika is asking about virtual courts will also hamper employment of many people who are indirectly dependent on open courts. Manual work and efforts are indispensable.
It's a good question, because as you find there will be employment issues, you would also find there will be employment generations. Only thing is that we are in the midway, we are in a gray area of approaching or undergoing the process of change. Whenever there a change comes, this difficulty comes. But as we accustom to it, perhaps there will be on different areas. You might find different areas in employment generations, not in the area which was presently occupied. But
Definitely.
yes, those generations which are actually not very well equipped or well educated with technology, they will have, like even in case of mine also, I have been dealing with it regularly, day in day out. Every day I'm spending so much of time in like more polishing my digital knowledge and all, so that at least we can, while addressing the courts and all, we can have some sort of an advancement rather than our opposite counsels and police. So the training is important. She is right. There will be challenges for those who are presently in job. I think if she is an upcoming lawyer or a law student, perhaps for them it's good, because they come to the college with a laptop, with various knowledge of digital and technological know-how. So for them it's good.
Yeah, so we have Abhinav and Mandeep. They have somewhat similar question, and that is related to, as you raised, you discussed, data secrecy, data, personal data secrecy, and the hacking and other things, because it would be quite easy when we are to reach, virtual space than to physical space.
So when somebody was driving a scooter, he has recently purchased a car. So naturally, when you have a car, the car has its own technological development, security developments, comforts development in terms of your using it. But similarly, when it comes to the issues relating to the car, it is a new challenges, new issues. So you have to deal with it. So with the new situations, you are bound to have. And see, regarding data protection, I think I have already said there is a bill pending in our parliament regarding data protections that is coming up. See, these are things, as you faced with the challenges through some issues, which is to be dealt then and there. So naturally, the fact that we are discussing it is definitely brings that concerns, not only in us, but those who are dealing specifically in that area, like the government, in terms of implementation, in terms of change of rules. So if you brought in changes by way of the Information Technology Act to the Criminal Procedure Code as well as Evidence Act. So with the amendments, and the moment you implement those amendments, the implementation will throw us with some issues that is to be dealt then and there. And this is one of such, whether it is hacking. See, there are credit card hacking, there are digital signatures protection issues. So that is being placed only for these purposes. This bill has come. Perhaps because of the COVID, it has stuck up. Otherwise, by now, it would have been out for implementations.
So a very interesting question, or very you can say a hot cake or a debatable question, which is coming up from many of the participants here. It's about this whole virtual court system is benefiting certain people, certain lawyers who have access to the infrastructure, who have access to internet, good mobile phone or a laptop, where they can display, that they can share their screen with the court and all. And many people are being left out in the whole process. It's only a few who are benefiting out of it. I can see lot many number of questions revolving around this very area, and which is also being debated by many of the bar associations, and even the Bar Council of India has raised this issue with the Supreme Court and at other platforms also.
Yes. See, when nuclear weapon was made by a particular country, the whole world thought that it will have in an advantageous position. But as all the countries started developing it, now instead of it being a war situation, I mean, it's being used as a war, it is also being used as to maintain peace. I think our difficulty, this concerns is definitely appreciated. This is a real concern that those who have a developed digital office infrastructure and know-how and manpower with them, naturally they will have an advantage. It's no doubt about that. But then this is the way of life. This is hard reality. We have to accept all those people who are yet to come to terms with digital life, more trained digital knowledge, and practicing in various law courts, having only a very small offices and all. They have to cope up with the change of times, otherwise we'll be left out. I think for that, the Bar Council, the Bar Association, they should come up, no doubt about that. They should come up with providing, like in Supreme Court, you would find there is a conference room for some time now. Those lawyers who doesn't have a office space and all, they can come and address the court from there, even if their matter are listed. Similarly, the Bar Association, the Bar Council can create number of small time digitized conferences rooms and all, were equipped with all advanced digital technology, so that those lawyers who are not very exposed to digital life and all, for time being, till they have their own offices and training of hard court training of virtual courts or anything digital advancement, they can be held by Bar Council and Bar Associations. Their respective Bar Association can think of it. And also those leading lawyers, they can also think of their new, younger generation fraternity for that advancements and all.
It is requested to everyone not to ask more questions as we are running out of time.
Yes, sir.
We'll just answer the questions already been asked. Please continue, sir.
Final question is there. One, Shaheen Khurshid ji is asking a question that is for the second time he has asked. His question is somewhat what Mr. Das has already answered. He was talking about in West Bengal, which was hit by cyclone and which caused disaster. It took 15 days for many places to restore electricity. So his question was in this very context: how can we say that we can have a digital court system where even it takes 15 days to restore electricity?
See, I think the question he asked, we have to understand that is an existential question. The question of the human existence. You have to have the basic. See, when we talk of virtual courts, perhaps it is in a situation of economically developed country in a virtual court system, because that everybody has to have mobile phones, at least the phones with some fourth generation, even now fifth generations also coming with that. Now talking of floods, cyclones, where there is no electricity, there are no houses of the peoples to even have a roof over their heads. So that is a human rights and human existence issue. Perhaps there the government and various stakeholders, those public spirited people, can come up with pill that how those people who are yet to expose to any kind of digital instruments, even including phones, even if phones, it is they are only using voice calls and all. So for them, every panchayats, I mean, it's my own kind of vision I can share with you, that every panchayats, like I discussed, that every courts with the help of bar council, bar association, and the judiciary can create some sort of an specific place for peoples to voice their concern. Similarly, in every panchayats and blocks and districts levels, there can be digital, like recently the Prime Minister addressed all these panchayats, the sarpanch, through video conferencing. So similarly, the issues of those who are destitutes and has faced with natural calamities and immediate human rights issues, the government can create a virtual place in every panchayats and all, where people, those who have some grievances and law and all, they can come for immediate relief. There can be a place where their issues can be addressed for time being. Thereafter, it can either be taken over by the physical courts, or the virtual courts will take over if the systems are there involved.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so very much. And I'll request Mr. Handuja in case he wants to put any question, because we are just reaching our time. So if there is any question or remark.
Mr. Das, can you please conclude, like after 10 years, whether we should like move to virtual courts or we should stay for open courts? Like, as there is advanced technology, and like what is the vision?
Right, Atin. Thank you. My concluding remarks as well as the answer to this would be that virtual courts cannot replace open courts hearing, as it constitutes the spine of the judicial system. That is first. Second, reliance on technology would continue to play a major role, no doubt about that, in speeding up justice dispensation. But in future, yes, there will be a heavy mixture, I can say, of open courts and virtual courts. And virtual court must be encouraged where it is required or suited for. Though open court system is very important for judiciary, but it must not remain under misconception that we can continue to perform our court systems with a 100-year-old system which was going on. Whether we like it or not, technology has come into every aspect of our life. Much bigger and greater role also is going to be played by the technology in easing up the process involved in the judicial system to make justice delivery much more speedy, because technology makes processes transparent, efficient, accountable, and reliable. Thank you very much, Atin, Legal Foxes and Delhi Legal Services Authority. Yes, so tell me.
Yeah, my last question to you. So, do you think जो pendency हो रही है cases की open court में, virtual court से इस पे कुछ effect पड़ेगा, और जो documents में misplace हो जाते हैं, हम courts file बनाती हैं, don't you think कि इसका काम सारा जब digitalized हो जाएगा, so there will not be any issue of documentation and everything?
No, see, the same thing. The one which helps us, which is advantageous, also is questionable. Yes, there will be so much of advantage in storing the data, also protecting those used to getting weeded out, that has now been ensured in a digital formats. But also when it comes to manipulation and hacking and challenging that, there will be an issue. If somebody wants to do manipulations or chhed-chhed karna chahta hai, so there will be an issue. So it both the things, we all have to be technologically sound to accept this system. The system is definitely, as long as the system is for protection and for easing the earlier workloads, then it's good. But if people will involve themselves in doing some or the other crime through this process, this cyber crimes, and there will be hackings and all. So this will also remain a challenge, which perhaps time to time, with more progressive minded people into the technological field, they will come up with some new suggestions, some recommendations that will perhaps take care of things.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session.
And you have been very well able to let
all the
us see a
questions.
point that we don't throw the baby with the bathwater. So there could be some issues, but that doesn't make the virtual court system altogether a failure to be thrown away, isn't it, sir?
Yes. Virtual courts, as long as, see, we have been dealing with virtual courts. It is that we have been very active in discussing it, but we perhaps forget. This has had its inroads after 2000. 2003 onwards, Supreme Court started directing in some of the cases, important milestone cases, that yes, electronics evidence, you cannot say no to electronics evidence because it has taken as a maximum space in people's life. You see,
Exactly.
you send things in internet browser, computer backups, computer printouts, global positioning systems, logs from hotel electronics trends, and digital video, audio files, digital evidence. Everything comes up. We don't know. Actually, people have been continuously using these formats without realizing how much space it has taken over.
Thank you, sir.
So we can end this session now. Thank you so much, Gautam sir, for the session. I would like to thank Ms. Shreya Arora Mehta, Judge at Delhi Judicial Services and Secretary at Delhi Legal Services Authority South. I would also like to thank Mr. Nishant Srivastava, who asked the questions very well and hosted the session. And I would like to thank my associate, Ms. Devshri Dua, and I would like to thank everyone for attending this session.
Yeah, the participants need special thanks for their patient hearing, listening to, and putting some very pointed questions.
Yes. Like we say, justice can not only be done, it should seem to be done. So our discussions and deliberations and this brainstorming is without any success unless we have viewers and people who question us, who listen to us. Thank you very much, Nishanji,
Thank you, sir.
Atin,
Thank you so
and
much,
Delhi
sir.
Legal Services Authority, and Mrs. Mehta ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
a wonderful
And now
experience.
Yes, sir.
So you can fill the feedback form now, and then you can leave the session. So